So people at home, we're doing this worksheet again from 1 to 8. You can do it right here. From 9 to 16, you'll use your line paper. And the first problem we're going to look at is the number 15. It says, how thick was the plywood? A sheet of plywood was made by gluing 7 sheets of wood together. 2 of the sheets were 0.0625 thick, and the rest were 0.125 inches thick. How thick was the plywood? What do you do? Does anybody know? Nobody has an idea? Big time, guys. What are we going to multiply? Well, let me go ahead and draw a picture. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sheets of wood that are glued together, and they want to find the total thickness. It says 2 of them are 0.0625 inches thick. And the rest of them are 0.125 inches thick. Well, how many more sheets are there? There's 5 of them, because there's 7 altogether. So 5 of them are 0.125. So now looking at it like this, who can tell me what you could do to get the thickness? Mateo Webb. How many of them are this size? 2 of them. So how can I find the total thickness for those 2? Yeah, multiply it by 2. 0.625, and this should go on your paper, times 2. How do you think I could get the total thickness for the rest of these 5? Multiply it by 5. Then once I have the total thickness for the top 2 and the bottom 5, what would I do with those 2 answers? Add them together. So that's your setup. I'm going to let you finish it. That's your setup for number 15. And I'm going to let you finish that. Then, on this one, number 16, how much did Jim save? Usually when you see that word, if something costs $20, but I got it on sale for $15, I saved 5. I subtract my original minus the amount, the sale price. So let's go back and see what they're buying. They bought 20 rose bushes last week. The regular price is $5 per bush. How could I find out the total for 20 rose bushes if they're $5 each? Yes, ma'am. So 16, so it's 20 times 5, and I don't need those 2 zeros. And that's simply 100. Okay. Then, so that's the regular price. Then the sale price, they were on sale 2 for $8.50. Who knows what I'd have to do there? Again, I'm buying 20 of them, but now for every 2, it's $8.50.
Multiply 850 by 10.
Very good. Is she the only one in my class? Guys, you have to speak up. I'm going to start calling on you. Because I'm dividing this by 2. So I have 10 groups of 2. And every 2 are costing me $8.50. Now, this, I'm going to write this different, because this points to something that we're going to do on the back side. I'm going to write it like this. $8.50 times 10. Because what you're going to see today is that if I've got anything times 10, I'm just going to add on a 0. I'm going to take my decimal off, and I'm going to go 850 with 1 more 0. Okay. And then I'm going to Now I'm going to place my decimal. How many numbers back do I need to go? 2 places back. So those, and again, it's 10 times 2 because I'm getting 20. Those cost me $85. The regular price was $100. How much did I save getting them on sale? And this is kind of mental math. $15. And there's almost no work here. It's just 15. And in fact, that is the answer over here. And where you see that problem number 16 down here, you're going to put the M-A. Alrighty. In fact, I'm not going to do these, but we're going to talk about the back side. So, by the way, any of them that are money, like the first one, you're going to round it to make it look like money to the hundredths place. So flip it over to the back. Flip it over to the back. Alrighty, so how would you do? Let's see. I don't want to do that one. Let's go way to the bottom. How would I do this one? Number 5, that first number.
Add a 0 and then move the decimal.
Yeah, there's actually 2 ways. So I'm going to, one way is, again, to take the whole number times 10 and add a 0. So I'm still going to leave, I'm going to put 092 And then how many places back would you have to go?
3.
You'd have to go back 1, 2, 3. So it's now going to be here. I'm going to skip a couple lines and we're going to do the same thing for this second one, and then I'm going to show you another way. Okay. So this one is, what am I going to tack onto the 92? How many zeros?
3.
You're going to tack on 3. So 9, we're doing this one right here. 9, 2, I'm going to tack on 3 zeros, but then I've got to consider that decimal. How many places, Mateo, would I go back? 2. So 1, 2, and it goes right here. And then you can drop zeros after you put the decimal. Again, I'm going to do the third one, but then I'm going to go back and show you another way. So, oh, this one's easy. Does this even have a decimal?
No.
So what's the final answer?
9,000.
Yeah, 9,200. 92 with 2 zeros. So this one's easy. And so cross this answer off. But now I'm going to go back to this problem here. Another way that you can do these, so watch carefully, is it is 0.092 times 10, and I just switched it around. Okay. If you're multiplying, your number's going to get bigger. And all you really need to do, if it's a number with a 1 and zeros, you look at the 0, there's one of them, and then because it's bigger, I'm going to move the decimal 1 place this way. And I'm done. It's 0.92. Is that the same thing as this up here? It's the same thing, 0.92. This just happens to have a 0. In fact, we've got to drop our zeros at the end anyway. So again, you can just move the decimal. So that ends up being 0.92, which is this one here, the M. Then this one here. So look at it carefully. I can just move this decimal in the direction where it's going to be bigger, which is to the right. How many places? How many zeros are there? Mateo, how many places would I move it? On this one? This time I'm doing it by moving the decimal, and I count the number of zeros. 1, 2, 3. So this is going to get bigger by, let me do it here. This was 0.92. I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3. And then I would have to add a 0, which is the same thing that we got when we tacked 3 zeros on and went back the two places. So again, on these, you can either just move the decimal, or you tack the zeros on and then count over how many places. Does that make sense? There's two ways to do it. One is just moving the decimal. But you can't just do that on, oh, where's that? What was the second answer? 920. So 920 is right here. The answer that is left over is the one that you're going to put on the number 5. So it's the H, where the 5 is right here. So I'm going to put that number there. But you can't do that very well with these, with 3. So on these, I would, and also it's not just, yeah, you've got 2 numbers. I would do this one where you just work it out. So, in fact, let's go ahead and do this. What is 6 times 6?
36.
So I'm going to put a 36 here. And 36 times 1 is just 36. No, I can't do it that way. Well, yes, I can. 9 times 4 is what? What's 9 times 4? 36. What's 12 times 3? Mateo. Somebody. Abinab. What's 12 times 3? 36. Now, the difference with these is I'm multiplying it by 10. How many zeros should I tack on? How many? Leanna, do you know how many zeros I'm going to tack on if I'm multiplying by 10? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. 1. 1 0. I tack on 1 0. Guess how many zeros I'm now multiplying this by 100. How many zeros should I tack on? 2. Now I'm multiplying it by 1,000. How many zeros should I tack on? 3. 1, 2, 3. But when I do it this way, where I multiply it and tack on the zeros, then I've got to count how many places back for the decimal. So who knows on this first one, altogether, how many digits are to the right of the decimal? 2. So 1, 2. So I'm going to go back in 2. And once I put a decimal, I may drop that 0. So the answer is the R, is a 3.6. On this one, how many decimals in on the second one? How many? 2. Also 1, 2. Once I put my decimal, I may drop those zeros. So it's going to be the 36. How many decimal places on this one? 2, 1, 2. So this, and I drop the zeros after that. So this one looks like it's going to be the 360. So this one is the number 9. The letter that's left over is the L. And you're going to put that right here. And we're going to find out to whom did the famous chef write letters every week. Right. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
So that's when, after you get done, you know, adding or subtracting here, that's a multiplication by 1,000. You just tack on your 3 zeros, then move your decimal back. And same thing here, by 2. Right. I'm done. You guys can start that. It's going to be front and back. And have a good weekend.